At a moment when climate crisis is accelerating faster than global action, I have with me three leaders who bring the kind of breakthrough that Davos is built for. Let me introduce, I have with me Mr. Rajesh Swaminathan, partner Khosla Ventures. Thank you for joining us. I also have Mr. Rahul Bami, CEO Verdagy, thank you, and Sriram Vasantarajan, CEO Mazama. It's really a pleasure for joining us, having you on NDTV today at the World Economic Forum here 2026 at Davos. To begin with, Mr. Swaminathan, I would like to ask you, when you talk about investments, you invest at the intersection of energy, AI, industrial decarbonization as well. What really signals you that technology is ready to scale and also reshape the entire thing? Specifically, if I can also ask you about India.
Sure, happy to. We've been investing in climate transition energy for the last about 20 years. We also invest in healthcare and AI. In fact, we were one of the earliest investors in Commonwealth Fusion. Around the same time, we were the first institution investor in OpenAI. This is back in 2018, 2019. It's tremendous to see how these two are overlapping today, and one is driving the pull for another. AI, particularly for India, is going to be phenomenal in terms of how transformational it's going to be. AI is going to be bringing in free expertise in every industry you can think of. It's going to democratize education. Healthcare, you have the world's best tutors available for the poorest kid in India, a much better quality of expertise than what the wealthy can have, and the same is going to be happening for healthcare. But if you look at what's the biggest need for AI, energy transition, because AI is not going to be limited by just AI, it's going to be limited by the compute and the power that's needed, which is why everything we've been doing for 20 years in terms of energy transition is going to be phenomenal now in terms of how AI is creating the demand. So it's great to have leaders like who we have today and many other people in Davos to drive that conversation.
And we see that how much of AI and technology is here at Davos this time in 2026. Rahul, now Verdagy is pushing green hydrogen towards cost competitiveness. Well, that has been a challenge. How can we really scale clean hydrogen? Again, looking at India perspective as well.
Sure, thank you. And it's a great question. So, as you started with the climate transition, for industrial decarbonization to really happen at a global scale, it needs to be cost effective and reliable. And we're believers that innovation and technology development is really the way to accomplish that. What we see is already actually pretty much a lot of acceleration in Europe, in the Middle East, and also in India. What Verdagy is doing is really making green hydrogen at fossil parity already today. So this is not at some point in the future, it's today. And we're doing it at a truly industrial scale. So we have, I think, a fantastic opportunity at this point in India, in the Middle East, in Europe, to accelerate the transition. And the reason we're able to do this is all of the innovations we've done enable us to really solve all the technical challenges, but then do it to decarbonize some pretty large sectors. So oil refining, chemicals like ammonia, aviation fuel, and marine. And specifically for India, I see this as an opportunity to, one, provide energy security. So India is today a net importer of fuels, and I think there's a real opportunity here to become a net exporter of fuels. Of course, help the decarbonization and do it profitably, and frankly create some massive industries in manufacturing and local jobs in the process. And so we're already engaged with several companies in India. There's been some good momentum from the government as well as some companies over the last year or two. I think it's important to continue to maintain that momentum because countries like China, several in the Middle East are also accelerating their efforts. We're big believers in India. I'd like to, so we really want to partner and collaborate to make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really critical, especially when you look at India and we talk about climate change, climate crisis we're all living in. But I also want to, now we've spoken about clean hydrogen. The next thing I want to ask you, Sriram, is how can the next generation geothermal become reliable and affordable when we're looking at a clean baseload power as global electricity demand really surges?
Wonderful question. Geothermal is an oft misunderstood source of energy. When I mention geothermal, people think of Iceland and all of those exotic places where it's limited. What our technology breakthroughs are now trying to do is to create geothermal in places that are truly global. The common denominator for all geothermal is just Earth's heat, which is literally everywhere. And what our innovations can now do is create geothermal in places everywhere, and in particular, like places like in India, okay? And then once you start creating it, it truly becomes a global fuel and it's highly scalable. I mean, you're talking about clean, you're talking about base load 24/7. If you look at sustainable and what are your options for firm energy, it's either nuclear or geothermal.
Yeah.
And what I'm here for is to put geothermal firmly in terms of a vocabulary when you're looking at sustainables.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, a very critical aspect there. But again, we were talking about AI as well, Rajesh. Where do you see AI unlocking climate crisis? We have innovators like themselves here, but it really is the need of the hour. So of course, innovation, but where do you really see solutions unlocking and what's the way forward?
AI is doing two things. One is creating the demand for baseload power like geothermal, like what Sriram talked about. But AI is also accelerating the energy transition in a major way. If I look at our fusion companies like Commonwealth Fusion, who is here, we have another company called Rialta Fusion that's right in the middle of innovating, accelerating power for data centers. AI is actually helping accelerate the plasma stability, which is a huge deal in terms of accelerating fusion. AI is also helping in a lot of scientific breakthroughs in terms of finding new materials for batteries, for solar, for a lot of other stuff. AI is also helping in discovering new minerals. We have companies that are actually discovering minerals much faster than the 10, 15, 20-year horizon that it takes to discover these materials. So in so many ways, AI is accelerating in not just in creating the demand, but it's also in solving the energy transition challenges.
As a solution.
As a solution, absolutely.
Yeah, which is critical. We're here at Davos. Yes,
Yeah,
at the World Economic...
To add to the AI portion, we're using AI, for example, even in hydrogen plants, to use power when it's the lowest cost. So you use low-cost electricity to make high-value molecules. And so it's making us more efficient and therefore lower cost.
Okay. No, and we're here at Davos, where the theme this year is Spirit of Dialogues, right? What are you looking forward here to be, having this conversation, especially when it comes to innovation, climate crisis, and the need to, again, explore when it comes to energy?
So I love the theme, and the reality is I think we're at a point where there's a convergence of several different technologies. So the dialogue is important to actually educate people on how one set of technologies can help another. AI helping energies and the other way around is a perfect example of that. So really three objectives here. One is education and just informing people about what we do. Second, we have amazing traction globally, so a lot of clients, CEOs are here.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to continue and strengthen those conversations. And frankly also engage with some of the policymakers and so on to accelerate the energy transition.
Perfect. Sounds like a fun week ahead.
Yeah.
Sriram, Mazama's record-setting 331 degrees Celsius, I was researching and I found out the geothermal pilot, redefines really what's possible. You told us and explained us what it's really all about.
Yes.
But how does this change the class of geothermal change in economics as well as reliability of the clean baseload power? And again, what are you really looking at here at the World Economic Forum?
Wonderful question. I'm going to tie into the same theme that they did, which is AI being the pull on that, but without the push of firm, clean energy available, you're going to lose your narrative on energy transition and clean energy. Now, why are we pushing the envelope on higher temperature and 331, which is 100 degrees more than where the industry is? It's at that point when you start getting 6 times, 10 times the power for every kilogram of fuel.
Yeah.
It's the only way, the scientific way, for geothermal to be engineered and become cost competitive with fossil fuels. We don't want you to look at geothermal just like solar and wind as a sustainable, but part of the main energy mix at the main table where it can be an alternative to fossil fuels like coal and
We definitely need an alternative. I think at least we're talking about it. We can see action is happening. Rajesh, for you here at the World Economic Forum, and also if you can tell us a little bit about the mix of energy for India.
Yeah, happy to. Over here, certainly this is the perfect intersection of the many CEOs we are closely working with in terms of partnering, whether it's in India or Europe, many governments that are looking to bring the energy transition, as well as great companies that are working together. So it's a perfect intersection to have that conversation. true spirit of dialogue. You look at AI or energy transition, both are truly global, and this is the perfect place to build that global partnership, and that's what I'm truly excited about. In terms of energy mix for India, I think the opportunities are tremendous. Solar, we have companies that are increasing the efficiency of solar by 30%, partnering with some of these companies. We have a company called Lanzatech that's actually working to have actually integrated their technology with IOC, the Indian Oil Corporation, as well as ArcelorMittal, to actually take the steel emissions, oil and gas emissions, to actually convert it to sustainable aviation fuels, which is the only way to convert to get aviation fuel, fully sustainable. So there are many such opportunities apart from what these guys talked about, where India could play a huge role and could be not just for the manufacturing of India, but as a global partner for many of these industries.
Absolutely needed. They are coming from India, where you have so much pollution. It's become the regular normal. We really need to break through that. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.